Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. MLS Cup playoffs. So, conference semifinals, aka the quarterfinals, are over. What did we learn? We learned that sometimes, honestly, what I learned from this one is forget everything that happened during the regular season, because these teams, well, except for one team, but for the rest of these teams, man, they completely ignored what happened during the regular season, because they are some of the teams that won look besides one, look completely different from how they looked during the regular season. But we'll start things off with the Eastern Conference. We got the 7th seed Red Bull New York beating 6 seed NYCFC 2-0. NYCFC had 70% of the possession. NYCFC also outshot 26-9, 7 shots on target to Red Bull's 3 shots on target. The goals scored were all in the first half by Felipe Carballo Ares in the 16th minute and Dante Vanzier in the 24th minute. Look, Red Bull knew they had to come in fast. They scored the 2 goals and then just put in a solid defensive shift against this NYCFC attack, and they got the job done. You know, say what you want when it comes to these MLS playoffs, especially now that it's a one-off game. Just do what you need to do to get the win. That's all that matters. And I think Red Bull scored goals, defended well, things that you want to see for a team that you're hoping is going to contend for an MLS Cup. So if you're a Red Bulls fan, you should be completely ecstatic that you got to see this kind of performance from your team, and hope that, you know, it can continue on into the semifinal, aka the conference finals. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get to that later. And the other Eastern Conference matchup was 4th seed Orlando City SC beating the 9th seed Atlanta United. The Cinderella story ends here for Atlanta United after defeating Inter Miami. Like I said, Atlanta United at this point are riding on house money. Their season, you're talking about a season that, you know, your coach gets fired. You lose your DP. You lose your designated players in Giakoumakis and Almada, and you didn't expect to make it to the playoffs. You get in the playoffs. You had a very good wild card match, and then you go in and eliminate the best team in MLS history. So that is, you know, impressive. But the other thing is, though, I predicted Orlando City SC to win the MLS Cup, and on their side of in their story, they came into the season with a lot of expectations. Everyone was predicting Orlando to be a very good team this year. 4th seed is not. They were a very good team, but they started terribly. Just lost, you know, poor performance after poor performance after poor performance. Could have been a factor from them playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but still did not look like what they were supposed to do. You bring in Luis Muriel, you bring in Nicolas Lodera to add more experience up to this very young attack that they have, this exciting attack that they have now. And, you know, you had your concerns. You didn't even think they would make the playoffs. They find their stride and they get in form, and then they finish in 4th place, and now they are the highest seed in the Eastern Conference. So now it goes to Orlando. Orlando beats Atlanta United 1-0. Atlanta had 51% of the possession, very 50-50 possessions. Orlando outshot Atlanta United 14-8. 4 shots were on target to Atlanta United 0. I think that just that's what it came down to. It is just that Orlando Atlanta United, I think their it their their carriage just turned into a pumpkin. It's just they put everything in that Inter Miami matchup that when it came down to the next round, they just didn't have anything left. And the only goal that was scored was by Ramiro Enrique in the 39th minute. Um, like I said, just get the wins. Doesn't really matter how you get them. Um, I mean, yes, at one point, the way you win these games are going to, it's going to need to be discussed. And I think both Red Bull New York and Orlando City, did what they needed to do, got the goals that they needed to get in, and defended as well as they could to make sure that nothing else came in the back of the net for them, and that's why they moved on. So I say that there's a lot of positive take from both teams, and like I said, their matchup is going to be very interesting to watch come this week. But before we get to to talk about that matchup, we got the Western Conference to go over to, and fourth seed Seattle Sounders beat the first seed LAFC. So no first seeds are in the tournament anymore, as the Seattle Sounders defeated Los Angeles 2-1. Seattle had 51% of the possession. LAFC outshot Seattle 27-13, 10-7 with the shots on target. The goals were scored by Rolling Hollinshead in the 50th minute mark. LAFC had unfortunately given up an own goal by Maxime Chanot in the 59th minute. And in extra time, Jordan Morris puts in the dagger to win it in the 109th minute, and Seattle moves on to the next round. Look, just like everybody else, I don't really want to see LAFC go to the MLS Cup. I don't want to see teams like that, prevail and all that. But LAFC has had are now being labeled as choke artists because of the fact that they've been in all these finals and, or crucial games and only to come out empty-handed. Yes, they did win the US Open Cup. Don't take that away from them. But obviously they lost the MLS Cup final last year to Columbus Crew and then lost to the Columbus Crew again in the Leagues Cup, whether you want to take that with a grain of salt if you want. But it just continues for them, right? They just continue to choke away these big moments for them. And I do want to say it's more of LAFC losing this game than it is Seattle winning it, because once again, I don't think Seattle, like just similar to the Houston Dynamo series, they didn't necessarily play fairly well. It just happened. Things just happened to work out for them, and I think obviously similar to the Dynamo series where they the Dynamo gave up two stupid red cards, which I mean in that moment you should be able to capitalize on it, but they didn't. Both games went to penalties, and that's where they won, was penalties where anything can happen. So no, I don't think Seattle is good by any means. I don't think this team is good. I don't think they just gotten very lucky from this point on. There wouldn't have been an extra time if it wasn't for Maxime Chanot. If Maxime Chanot did not give up that own goal, LAFC would be moving on and hosting the conference final. But they're not because of that own goal. So it wasn't that Seattle outright won the game. And I mean, yes, I know I said throughout this that you just got to find ways to win games, and it doesn't matter how you win them, you just got to win them. But Seattle didn't win this game. LAFC gave it away. And I mean, the Jordan Morris goal, you can argue, was probably another one where it was just they got the defense slipping, and Jordan Morris honestly, I could say it could have gone either way, that shot, and he got it where Hugo Lloris couldn't get to it, and that's why he scored a goal. So I'm not taking away that Jordan Morris goal. I think Seattle, for them to stay resilient as they did throughout the game, but I'm just saying there wouldn't have been an extra time had Maxime Chanot put in that own goal. So I don't think Seattle is necessarily good by any means. And when it comes to the MLS, doesn't matter how you win, it's just that you win and you move on. And so Seattle, regardless, I guess if you're Seattle, you might as well just stay put in LA, because moving into the next game, second seed Los Angeles Galaxy beats sixth seed Minnesota United 6-2. This was obviously the biggest goal scored in this game, where you had not one, not two, not three, but four players scoring two goals in these games. But yeah, so the LA Galaxy had 74% of possession, clearly, because once again, kind of how we mentioned in Wake Up MLS, the LA Galaxy is the best team in the MLS Cup right now. Even maybe you can argue when Inter Miami was still there, but as of right now, the LA Galaxy is the best team in the MLS Cup. But LA Galaxy had 74% of possession. LA Galaxy outshot Minnesota 17-12, 10-6 with shots on target. There was a red card in this game. It was by Jefferson Diaz in the 82nd minute mark. So there are some goals that happened after that, but I don't at this point that game was fairly much over. But the four doubles today was from Gabriel Peck, who scored the opening goal in less than a minute and also scored in the 50th minute mark. Kelvin Yaboya, who scored in the 6th minute and then scored uh before halftime with a penalty in the 45th and kind of going into stoppage time. Dejan Jovlic, who scored in the 18th minute and the 89th minute, and Joseph Paintsel, who scored in the 37th minute and the 86th minute mark. I mean, props to Kelvin Yaboya. I think obviously trying to keep them in. First of all, his goal out of all the goals was probably the best goal of that whole game. But still, you don't get bonus points for a cool goal. But Gabriel Peck, Dejan Jolovic, and Joseph Paintsel have just been nothing but amazing options for Ricky Puig. Ricky Puig once again able to just get the balls around, get his passes to his targets, and these guys are able to feed off of that. And that's exactly what we saw in this game. I think LA Galaxy is a very, very dangerous team, should be the odds-on favorite now to win the MLS Cup, which is crazy to think that when last year this team was literally at the bottom of the barrel, maybe not the bottom of the barrel, but definitely were bottom feeders last year. And that just one props to LA Galaxy's scouting team and general manager to figure out what they needed, identify what they needed to improve the team. I mean, Gabriel Peck and Paintsel, I believe, are the two of the additions that came from this season. But also Greg Vanney, man, I mean, what a turnaround! Should probably have gotten a shout for Coach of the Year, and this is literally one of the things that you won't see in any other sport is a team that was literally god awful one year and then right now the best team. You're not going to get that anywhere else. I guarantee you're not going to get anything like that in any of the league because I'm sure everyone thought that Inter Miami would be still here and they're not. And so that's what I got to say about that.